So for today's lesson, what we're going to do is write equations in slope-intercept form. And I think you know this already, that the equation of a line in slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. Again, we kind of do this over and over again. The m is your slope. The b is your y-intercept. And that's the line, or that's the point where the line crosses over the y-axis. So very easy in the beginning. Write the equation of a line with the given slope and the given y-intercept. So you've got your slope, you have your y-intercept, you've got your m, you've got your b. Every equation is y equals mx plus b, and what you're going to dump in is 8 for your slope minus 5 for your b, and you are finished. It's that easy. So on number 2, given the m and the b, the equation is y equals negative 2/3 x plus 2. You should also be able to find the equation of a line if you're given a graph. So what you want to do is find the slope. You can either use the slope formula or you can use the graph and trace your path up and over. You want to find the y-intercept, and that can only be done on the graph. And then you write your equation in slope-intercept form. So what's happening here is if I take a look at my slope, I know my slope is negative for this first line. I can see that from left to right, I would go down and over. So all that you need to do is find that slope by counting down and over. My slope would be down 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and over to the right 2, 3. So it'd be negative 6 over 3. And you need to simplify all slopes, so that becomes a negative 2. Your y-intercept, the point where you cross the y-axis, is 4. So now you're really back to where you were the first page. Writing the equation of the line, you get y equals negative 2x plus 4. If we take a look at this next one, come back up, my slope I can see rises from, or my line rises from left to right, so my slope is positive. I'm going to trace my path up and over, and I realize that my slope in this case is up 3 to the right 5. The point where the line crosses the y-axis is at negative 6. And now again, you're back to the beginning of this stuff where you just write your equation. And y equals 3/5 x minus 6. There is another formula that you should know besides slope-intercept, and it's called point-slope form. So in point-slope form, this one is going to be y minus y sub 1 equals m x minus x sub 1. You're going to have to get that memorized. And as it turns out, the y and the x in the equation that don't have little subnumbers are what's always going to stay in. But what you're going to replace in your equation is your y1, your m, and your x1. And by replacing those values, you're going to be able to get the equation into y equals mx plus b. Sounds tricky. It's not at all. Just see if you can follow the steps. Always first identify your slope, which is your m, and the coordinates of a point. You need to pick a point that they give you, and that point, that first point will be x1 comma y1. You want to substitute in the values for the m, for the x1, and for the y1 into that point slope formula. You're going to simplify that, and you're going to end up with an equation in slope-intercept form. Again, this is not tricky. When you come down to your point, write the equation of the line that passes through the point 1, 2. 1 is your x1, 2 is your y1, your slope is your m. Remember, the equation looks like this. Y minus y1 equals m, x minus x1. You're going to dump in all those points. So y1 is 2, m, your slope is 3, x1 is 1. If we make this look a little bit nicer without some of the parentheses, what's happening here is you get y minus 2 equals 3, x minus 1. Get rid of your parentheses by distributive property. Y minus 2 equals 3x minus 3. Add 2 to both sides, and you get your equation, y equals 3x minus 1. And that's where you want it to be. Again, you're plugging in points for the x1, the y1, and the m. You're doing all the math, and you're coming out with an equation back into slope-intercept form. Let's take a look at the second example. Let me move this if I can. I'll just move this. Okay. So on this one, we need to write the equation that the line that passes through point -1, 3 with slope of 4. And we know the equation should be y minus y1 equals m, x minus x1. I'm just leaving in some spaces, but we're going to dump in. So the y1 is 3, the slope is -4, the x1 is -1. You need to realize that these double negatives really give you a positive. So what you now have is y minus 3 equals -4x. Remember, that became a plus 1, so it becomes -4. Add 3, add 3, y equals -4x minus 1. Make sure you're good. You might also be asked to find the equation of a line when you're given 2 points. So when you're given 2 points, you need to find the slope first. And you should remember that the slope is m equals y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. You're going to use the slope and one of the 2 points. You're given 2, you're just going to use one of them. Of the 2 points, you're going to use the point slope formula, the y minus y1 equals m, x minus x1, and you're going to use that to the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. And you want to finally get back to y equals mx plus b. Seems like a lot, not terrible. So you've got x1, y1, x2, y2. You need to find the slope. So when you dump in those points, you're going to get -3 on the top with a 1, and then a 2 and a -2 on the bottom. When you do the math, you get -4 over +4, so -1 is your slope. Well, you now have to take that slope and one of those 2 points to use into the point slope formula. It doesn't matter what you choose. I'm just going to go for the first one. No particular reason. I'm just going to pick that. And then with this, you now go back to point slope. Let me just raise this up a little bit. So now we're going to say, okay, I need to do y minus y1 equals m, x minus x1. And I'm going to dump in here y minus -3 was the y that we used from the point, equals m, which is -1, and then the x from that point is -2, or just 2, excuse me. Double negatives. Y plus 3 equals, distribute, -1x plus 2. Subtract by 3 on both sides. Y equals -1x minus 1. Okay, let's try the next one. Write the equation of the line through these points. So x1, y1, x2, y2. Slope equals the change in the y's, -13 and 2, the change in the x's, -8 and 4. Do the math. -15 over -12. We'll double negative simplify. 3 divides evenly into both of them. And your slope becomes 5/4. It's okay, it's a fraction, it's not a big deal. We're going to use the slope. We've got to pick one of those 2 points. I think this point looks a lot nicer. There's no negatives and the numbers are smaller. Again, any point will do. Just pick one of them. And when you go back to your equation, y minus y1 equals m, x minus x1. And then we plug in the 2 for the y, the 5/4 for the m, and the 4 for the x. And then we do the math. Y minus 2 equals, distribute, 5/4 x, distribute. Remember, it's 5/4 times -4 over 1. You can think about the top and the bottom dividing, math, doing math, whatever. You're going to get -5 here. right? Because it's 5 over 4 times 4 over 1. These cancel out. You end up with a 5, and it's a minus because of your sign. All that's left to do is add 2 to both sides, and y equals 5/4 x minus 3. Okay, I'm going to go on to the next one. So this guy, write the equation of the line that passes through the point 2, -1 and 2, 5. Graph the line through the above points. Which axis is the line parallel to? So when we try to find the slope of this, whoops, see if I can move this. I can't. Okay, I'll just drop this down then. Alrighty. So we need to write the equation of this line. So let's find the slope. The slope is going to be the y's minus the x's. -1, 5, 2, 2. When you do the math, -6 over 0. It's over 0. Remember, it's not okay to have a number over 0. No way, not allowed to happen. Which means this slope is undefined. So there's your slope that's undefined. Think about what kinds of lines have undefined slopes. And those lines happen to be your excited lines. Those are the vertical lines. So we should be able to graph this vertical line, and it should be pretty clear where the line's going to be or the equation of it, but just in case, plot this first point, 2, -1, there it is. Plot your second point, 2, 5, there it is, and there's your vertical line. Now remember, the equation of an excited line is x equals, and in this case, because both x coordinates are 2, there's your equation. It does ask you which axis is the line parallel to, and the line happens to be parallel to the y-axis. So parallel to y-axis. Okay, let's take a look at this next one. Next one, write the equation of the line that passes through the points 1, 4, -3, 4. Graph the line through the above points. I'm going to graph this thing first because I bet you have a feeling the fact that these guys are the same kind of says something's going to happen here. So if we go to 1, 4 and we go to -3, 4, well, there is a lazy line. So no reason to find the slope. We don't need to. We could have, and we would have gotten 0 anyway. But this is a lazy line. The equation of this y equals line is y equals 4. And this particular line is parallel to the x-axis. Okay, so hopefully this is going to be good for you, and you should be okay on the homework. Thanks, and see you later.